Today I'm talking to Victoria Wojcik, Director of Pollinator Partnership Canada. Hi, Dr. Wojcik.
Hi.
Happy Pollinator Week.
Oh, happy Pollinator Week to you too.
Thank you. Pollinator Week is an annual celebration in support of pollinator health, and in honor of that, I planted a pollinator green roof in my garden on my new bicycle shed my dad and I made. Why are pollinators so important?
Well, pollinators are these great little animals, and they give us almost all the food that we eat, and they help all of the plants make seeds and fruits. So they're really important if we like to eat, and if we like to have all the things we have, like the cotton that we make our shirts out of and everything like that.
That's great. What is a pollinator? Are bees more important than the other pollinators?
That's also a really good question. So a pollinator is actually any animal that visits a flower and moves the pollen from one flower to another. So there's all sorts of pollinators, and I think you've heard of a lot of them. Some of the pictures behind me show some really cool pollinators. So there's butterflies and bats, there's moths and hummingbirds, but bees really are one of the best pollinators. And it's because they do something special. So no other pollinator actually collects pollen. All the other pollinators just go visit plants and they drink nectar. But bees are the only ones that pick up pollen, they put it on their body, and then they carry it back to their nest. So it means they're actually a lot better at pollinating because they're always grabbing all of this extra pollen.
And some of them are really big, so they can grab a lot of pollen.
Yeah, if you've ever seen a bumblebee and you look really close and it has these really big balls of pollen on its back legs, it's because it's a really big bee and it can carry all that pollen.
Worldwide, pollinator populations are shrinking. Birds, bats, bees, butterflies, moths, and other insects are seeing major declines. What is causing this?
You know, there's a few things, but one really big one is where they like to live and eat, and we call that habitat. So their habitat is declining. There's less flowers out there, so there's less places for them to find breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and there's less places for them to make a nest. But then there's also other things that make it a little bit worse, like climate change. So climate change has a really interesting impact on pollinators because plants like to do things depending on how much sunshine they get. So when you look out your window and you see that a plant started to make a flower bloom, it does that because it gets sunlight. But insects, which are most pollinators, they do stuff based on how warm it is. And so it used to be that a certain amount of sunlight and the same temperature was on the same day. But now I think you've seen that like it gets a lot warmer faster. So what's happening is pollinators are getting ready before their plants are ready. And that's a really big impact of climate change.
Yeah. This spring, we saw a yellow butterfly come to our yard, and she flew away because even though there were flowers, there was nothing for her to eat. So my mom and I started working on making a garden more pollinator friendly. We planted an oak tree to give the caterpillars something to eat. We built and put up a bat house. We put in a bird feeder and a hummingbird feeder, a bird bath, and a berry patch, and a vegetable garden. On the new green roof, we planted honeysuckle, bee palm, foxglove, purple cornflower, lavender, asters, Joe pieweed, lilac, delphinium, fuchsia, and bellflowers. We couldn't find any milkweed anywhere, but we did order seeds from littlewings.ca for the fall. And we got some wildflower seed mixes as well. It has been about a week and still haven't seen any pollinators. Is that weird? Am I just being impatient?
I think maybe you're being a little impatient, or maybe you're not looking at the right time of day. So, you know, pollinators have special times when they really like to visit flowers. And sometimes it's earlier in the morning, maybe before lunch. But you know how it gets really, really hot the later it gets in the day? They don't really like that either. So if you go out too late in the day looking for bees and butterflies, you might not find them because they're hiding in the shade at that time. But, you know, also when you plant a plant, we always want pollinators to visit, but sometimes it does take a little while for them to find those plants. But something you can do, which is really good science, is if you would go out every day at the same time and have a look, and then you can see when they start showing up to your garden. I guarantee you they will find the plants you planted and you'll have pollinators there very soon.
What time should you start looking?
Well, we usually, when I go out and I do research, I usually start looking at around 9 o'clock. If you go too early, they're still sleeping because, I told you that insects really like certain temperatures, and that's how they decide that they're ready to grow. At night, it's cooler than during the day. So in the morning, it takes a few hours of sunshine for them to warm up and get ready to fly. 9 o'clock, that's a great time to start looking for pollinators.
Okay. Is there anything you'd wish people knew about pollinators?
Well, I think if they knew exactly how important they are, and you already asked me that question, why are they so important? It's because they give us so much of the food we eat. Without pollinators, our world would be very different, and we'd be kind of hungry. We wouldn't have clothes to wear. We wouldn't have homes to live in. So they're really important. If everyone knew that, I think they'd make some different choices sometimes. Instead of taking the car, maybe we'll go for a walk or ride our bike instead, or something like that, just so that we can all help pollinators, because without them, we'd be in big trouble.
All right. Thank you for answering my questions and joining us today. Click the link below to donate to Pollinator Partnership. And remember, together kids can save the world. Please like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.